Warning. This podcast contains spoilers.
Third World Cinema Club.
So, this one is one of my favorite films in this festival. It won an award, I think, for something. Audience choice, maybe. I don't remember. It's a 2021 film by Joachim Trier, who directed Thelma, if you remember that film. It's called The Worst Person in the World. No? So it chronicles 4 years in the life of Julie, a young woman who switches from one career path to another. And she also switches low romantic partners in kind of the same way. And in the process of these 4 years, she tries to take a look at who or what she really is. And I guess, Jim, have you seen this, The Worst Person in the World? No?
Yes, talagang inabangan ko.
Yeah. Ako din.
Ay, padaling araw.
Alauna ng umaga yung screening nito. Pinanood ko talaga siya. So your thoughts, Jim, about The Worst Person in the World?
Actually, ito yung favorite ko dun sa TIFF. And well, fortunately, di ba ito kasi nanalo ng Best Actress si Renee Reigns dun sa sa performance niya dito sa Worst Person in the World. And I believe deserving siya sa Best Actress sa Cannes. Ako anong while watching it, ang naisip ko, parang, ano ba tawag dito? Merong tayong Julie. Kasi yung character name niya is Julie. In every one of us. Diba? Kasi may part minsan sa buhay natin naging indecisive tayo. Ako nakarelate ako sa kanya dun sa part na yung indecisive sa career path. Kasi di ba ako from call center, naging researcher, ng isang show, ngayon closed captioner na, di ba? So parang, okay, yung mga decisions niya in life, doon ako nakarelate. Yung pagdating sa sa indecision niya sa career path, ganun. Pero when it comes dun sa mga niya, sa mga, her sex caprice, siya kanya yun. Ganun eh. Saka ang nakakatuwa dito sa film, 'di ba? Maku-curious ka na talaga from the title itself, 'di ba na? Bakit worst person in the world? Pero while watching it, you cannot consider Julie as the worst person in the world. Even yung mga boyfriends niya, naging boyfriends niya, 'di ba? Kasi parang sa atin, ako may parts na nagigets ko si Julie na bakit even yung isa, 'di ba, yung isang boyfriend niya, yung nagsabi nung linya na the worst person in the world siya. May mga part kasi sa life natin yung frustrations, 'di ba, na may mga gusto tayong gawin or parang sana ito yung naging decision natin or may mga behavior tayo na parang we felt na we are the worst person in the world when in fact hindi naman ganun. Tapos ang gusto ko dito kay Julie, yung character niya, carefree siya, free-spirited, saka liberated siya in society standard. Yung nga napag-usapan namin ni Kuya Roland nung after the screening. Nagulat ako nung tinanong niya ako. Kasi ang nasabi ko kay Kuya Roland, ang galing ni Joachim Trier kasi napaka-observant niya. Kasi you cannot direct or write a film about a woman na hindi mo alam yung journey. Kaya ang galing ni Joachim Trier na yung pagiging observant niya, nalagay niya yun sa film, 'di ba? Kasi 'di ba sabi niya nga it was based dun sa mga mga babae sa Norway, 'di ba, mga Norwegian women. So parang galing ni Joachim Trier. Ako kasi this is yung first time ko makapanood ng Joachim Trier film. Hindi ko napanood yung Oslo, yung Reprise, even yung Thelma. So impressive si Joachim Trier, ganun. Tapos dapat kung may iba tong title tong film, dapat Julie. A Life in 12 Chapters. Kasi 'di ba 12 chapters?
'Di ba yun yung yung original title niya? Tama ba?
Ayun ba? Hindi ko na
Akala ko kaya mo sinabi yun dahil alam mo yun yung original title.
Actually, hindi.
Taka. Kasi siya subtitle siya dun sa film. Nakita ko siya, blah 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 blah.
Tapos meron
Verdansk.
pa tong meron pa tong prologue sa epilogue. Yun ang nakakatawa.
Yun. Basically yun, no?
Saka ang gusto ko dito sa film, at first energetic na siya kaagad. Alam mo na na millennial, 'di ba yung tina-targetan yung gumawa. Ganon. And until the end, maganda siya kasi 'di ba may self-realization in the end, and kahit ambiguous yung ending, yun yung pinag-usapan namin ni Kuya Roland after the screening. Yung paisip kami, ano ba nangyari kay Julie? Ganon. Doon sa baby niya. Sorry, spoiler alert. Ganon. And I believe si Julie kasi, she's an accurate representation of a millennial woman. Saka, we can consider Julie na na difficult. One of difficult people. Pero actually hindi. Ayun, yun lang so far.
Na she's just living her life naman. Yung ko sa ending na yun, parang maybe what she saw was real, or maybe it's some other person. Na this is what my life could have been, pero I don't regret it. Parang ganun yung feeling ko sa kanya. Roland, ikaw, your thoughts on the worst person in the world?
Yun. First off, 80s 80s kid ako. I don't know kung same sa inyo or mas bata kayo.
Tayong dalawa. 80s kid tayong dalawa.
Sorry naman, kuya.
So, kaya ako sinabi yun kasi after the film, nakipag-usap ako sa friend ko dahil sabi ko, the film is really good pero hindi ko makakonect sa decisions nung lead girl. And because maybe it's generational gap. And mas nakaka-relate ako doon sa sinabi nung boyfriend, nung older boyfriend. Like even yung incident na nangyari sa kanya, because I have a best friend who is a feminist. And whenever we have conversations, meron ako minsan mga nasasabi na I don't mean it, pero madali sila ma-offend and they will take it against you. And kapag ka nagsalita ka ng next line, mas masama na yung reaction. Parang yung nangyari doon sa guy, di ba, doon sa interview. I'm sure he doesn't mean what he says. And may mga components lang ng intergenerational gap, and napuput into wrong context minsan yung sinasabi mo. And because you don't understand each other in terms of generation. And doon nakarelate ako doon sa mga sinabi ng boyfriend na we were born in those times na yung culture is napapass through objects. So it means merong mas tangible siya, mas objective. Unlike yung mga newer generations na masyado sila maraming options. So they have unlimited options and it's giving them false hope or rush or urgency na marami sila magagawa in a short period of time. That's why even in the research, yung mga younger folks daw is mas madaling mag-resign. They can move into 5 jobs in 7 years, something like that. Because in my experience, I stayed with my job more than 5 years each in a company. So that's why hindi ko magets yung indecisiveness nung lead character, but I feel yung regret niya. And it's wonderful na yung director na pag-contrast niya yung kung bakit hindi sila nag-work out ng boyfriend, because nakaka-relate ako dun sa boyfriend. Hindi ko siya hindi ko siya maintindihan. So in that sense, parang na-put ko yung sarili ko kung bakit hindi sila naging compatible. Pero I think they love each other more compared to the other. I mean, mas mahal niya yung older guy kaysa sa younger guy. That's my take. Yun. And I really like it. After the film, napaisip ako, dami kong tinanong doon sa friend ko, ganyan, kasi feminist siya eh. So, liberated yung yung lead character eh. So, marami akong binalidate sa kanya. So, nagkaroon ako ng maraming retrospective after the film. I like it after I saw it and after I talked to several people.
Ako, yeah, I think this is one of my favorite films din sa festival. And it's one of the most rewatchable din. Parang I would rewatch this. Out of most of the films na napanood ko sa TIFF.
Yes.
Agree ako kay Jim, for a screening na madaling araw, sobrang na-hook na ako doon sa ending na sa opening na very energetic. Ang dami niyang tama nga nung kay Roland yung paralysis of choice, no? There are so many choices for young people these days na parang meron kang parang fear of missing out if you don't try the newest shiniest thing. And
Yan yung tamang term for fear of missing out. Yan yung
'di ba, may
rin.
FOMO eh. And ito yung naging dilemma nung character ni Julie for herself, na tipong is she letting things pass by, or is she is a decision to settle down the better decision? And yung pumasok talaga dun yung there are some decisions talaga in our lives that we regret in the long run. And yun, na-feel ko yun kasi a lot of us talaga, kahit na tayong mga generation, mga 1980s na bata, when we get into a crossroads in our careers talaga, na parang
90s man kami.
90s kayo ni Cece. Para umaabot na tayo na tipong ito ba talaga gusto ko sa buhay ko? Not just in terms of romance, but also in terms of, many other things. And aside from that, the movie is just really well made. And sobrang galing ng performance ni Renate Reinsve, or however you pronounce that name. And yung dalawa niyang leads, no? And I love yung pagka she really feels like a flesh and blood human talaga, someone that you'd meet on the street, or someone that you can be a friend to. And it's not, hindi naman, she makes not the best decisions in life, pero you understand naman her decisions. It's backed up by the story, and also the filmmaking, in terms of the filmmaking aspect, ang dami nilang, they were throwing everything at the screen, na tipong meron parts pa dyan na animation, there were some parts na parang very slow, there were slower parts, there was parts na parang montage. My favorite chapter of all of the chapters would probably be yung party. The party where she meets her second boyfriend. Na tipong we can't cheat, but we do all of these other things. Na tipong, dude, that's kind of cheating na. That's kind of cheating na. Pero, yun. And regarding yung title na The Worst Person in the World, it can also refer to yung parang this guilt na either generational or not, na yun nga, with all of the choices that you've been given, are you a bad person for not trying to think of all of them, or parang throwing one away for the sake of another? Parang, does that make me a bad person? And I don't think that's necessarily true then. And the film takes that view, in my opinion, as well. So yun. I love this film. Please, if you get the opportunity to watch it, maybe lumabas siya sa movie sa Pilipinas, baka i-curate nila yan or something. So, yan. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next film? Wala? Okay, let's go on to one of two films released this year from Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It's Drive My Car. So, Drive My Car is an adaptation of a Haruki Murakami short story, like Burning, no, or Tony Takitani. It's if you want to read the original short story, it's in the collection Men Without Women. It's the first story there. Actually, binabasa ko siya ulit ngayon for my review. It tells the story of this playwright, or this ano ba siya? Stage actor and director, yon, named Kafku. He is still unable to cope with the loss of his wife 2 years earlier from sudden death. And finally, after 2 years, he agrees to a staging of Anton Chekhov's film, Uncle Vanya. And he goes to this parang probinsya ba yun? Basta this far off city to do the staging. And due to circumstances beyond his control, he is given a chauffeur to drive him there. And through that, he begins to process his grief. Siguro I'll start this off because I think this is my favorite film of this edition of TIFF. I'm biased kasi I like Ryusuke Hamaguchi. I like Haruki Murakami as well, his works. Um, this is not a straightforward an adaptation as say Tony Takitani. This is more like Burning na there are some liberties with the script, and Hamaguchi transforms it into something better, in my opinion. This is a very interesting meditation on grief, on language, on translation. If you notice, the staging of Uncle Vanya is very peculiar because all of the characters are speaking in their first language. So may Tagalog, may Korean, may Chinese, may Japanese, and parang it's something like the words don't make sense. It's like a mantra. The words don't make sense. What's more important is the emotions that you convey in between those lines. Add to that the idea na while Kafuku is riding in his car, he is rehearsing lines na yung ka-counterpoint niya is yung his dead wife, the voice of his dead wife. So you can think of the situation as his dead wife, parang he's saying all of these things to his dead wife, but it doesn't matter because they're just words. Where are the emotions behind them? And yun it's 3 hours long. It's a very long film. Pero ako from start to finish, I was captivated by it. Kahit na yun nga medyo puyat, medyo mahaba. And I have to give props to the performances. Hidetoshi Nishijima is great as Kafuku, the title character. Okay din si Toko Miura. She's an actress singer. She sang the opening theme for Weathering with You, if you know that film. Pero here she's very emotionless. Tsaka iba yung itsura sa akin ni Misaki sa story kumpara dito sa film. Pero she still managed to pull it off. And ano pa ba? Yeah, it's also a treatise. It's a treatise on how we don't really know 100% of another person, but that's okay. What's probably more important in order to know other people is to know yourself first. And what is it you want to do? What is it you want in, for example, your relationship with someone else to make it work? And doon pumapasok yun, no? It's interesting. Yeah, I guess my one nitpick probably would be the epilogue that takes place in kind of COVID-19 times. Pero baka Hamaguchi was going somewhere else with that in terms of how we're all strangers then during the pandemic or something. Pero parang tacked on siya kumpara dun sa the rest of the film. Pero otherwise, other than that, I really love this film. I think it was one of the best films of the year for me. Just for me, my opinion. But yun. How about you, Jim? Your thoughts about the film?
Ako nagustuhan ko yung Drive My Car. Actually, ang galing nga ni Hamaguchi kasi he made 2 great films this year. Yung Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy na nagustuhan ko din.
Ganda nun.
Ang cute. Cute ng mga dialogue. Parang weird pero okay. Tapos etong Drive My Car, ang gusto ko dito kasi 'di ba dun sa ginawang adaptation of Anton Chekhov's play dun sa film. Ang maganda, pinakita kasi dito na yung may diversity of actors, 'di ba? From Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines. Kaya gulat tayo, parang may nagtatagalog.
Si Perry Dizon.
Although 'di ba, we're not new in Japanese film na nakakapanood tayo ng mga Filipino and Japanese film like in All Under the Moon, 'di ba, nandun si Ruben Moreno, and then
pwede ba mag-audition? Pwede mag-audition? Diyos kay Hamaguchi, kailangan mo ng malaking tao for scenes. Ako po. Pwede mo ako magana. Ayun.
Nakakatawa nakakatuwa yung film na ganun yung may diversity of actors. Meron pa nga 'di ba deaf or hard of hearing na as a sign of language, no? Parang
Korean Sign
nakakatuwa.
Language.
Oo, 'di ba? Ang maganda kasi doon, pinapakita na yung 'di ba nga sabi nga ni Bong Joon-ho dati, 'di ba na once you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you will be introduced to so many more amazing films. And ito yun yung evidence sa film. And aside from that, gusto ko on how depicted yung grief sa film, 'di ba? Kasi may part doon na like yung bida na lalaki, he blamed himself na parang he killed his wife. Even yung chauffeur, 'di ba, yung driver niya na parang nung nakikwentuhan sila, siya naman, she blamed herself sa pagkamatay ng nanay niya because wala siyang ginawa. Diba? Parang sa atin kasi when we experience demise or death in the family, iba-iba tayo ng way to cope or deal with death. Kaya yun yung parang okay, oo nga no, kasi may part din na parang oo nga no, kung may nagawa pa sana ako other than that, baka siguro naka-survive pa yung loved one ko, ganun. Parang doon sa part na yun, maganda yung na yun, yung sa usapan na yun.
Yeah.
And yun nga, mahaba tong pelikula. Mahaba siya. Actually, yung unang part, dahil nga 'di ba, kapapanood lang natin ng Worst Person in the World, nakatulog din ako. And then, naabutan ko na, parang, I don't know kung 10 minutes yun, kasi naabutan ko, I'm sorry yung nagsisex na yung mag-asawa. So, ano na nangyayari? Hindi ko na naabutan yung first scene. Kaya nagulat ako, may ganito na kaagad. Ganun. Yung pala, hindi naman pala talaga. Yung parang maganda naman pala yung succeeding ng mga eksena. Although, aminado, may part na naka-edit ako dun sa nag-uusap yung actor, saka yung director. Kasi parang haba ng usapan nila.
Actually, Jim, yan yung parang, for me, yan yung parang climax ng pelikula.
My gosh!
Sa kotse? Nasa likod ba sila ng kotse?
Yun yung isa sa pinaka-important conversations ng film eh.
Yung komento ko yung karugtong ng storya, yun yung paborito ko.
Actually.
My gosh, naiipan ko yun. Parang nung A Girl Missing ni Koji Fukada, yung kung kailan merong important na conversation, nakaidipan ko, my gosh.
Hindi, parang yun yung confession nung wife eh.
Din yung context ng wife.
I see. Oh my gosh. Guys, huwag niyo kong gayahin. Nakaka-edip sa pelikula.
Okay lang yun. Okay lang, Jim. It happens to all of us. Yeah, true. Ayun. Roland, your thoughts about Drive My Car?
So yun, nakakatawa kasi parang yung effect niya sa akin, pareho sa Burning. And parang nakalimutan ko na yung Burning is Murakami rin. Parang pinaalala pa sa akin ng friend ko na Murakami din. Ay, oo nga, kasi yung effect sa akin, nung pinanood ko yung Burning, siguro mga after kung panoorin yung film, okay, it's good. Tapos habang tumatagal, parang nare-realize ko na parang ang dami pala niyan layer. Tapos parang na-appreciate ko siya, tinataas ko yung rating, ganun. Ganun din yung naramdaman ko sa Drive My Car nung immediately na panood ko siya. Na-realize ko it's a good film, ganyan, parang very poetic. Pero later on, at sa ako, nagugas ako ng tinga, naglalaba, naisip ko yung layers niya. May marami pala siyang layers na na pinakita. Like for example, yung akala mo lang nagre-recite siya ng lines dun sa car with the audio tape, right? Pero parang confession niya in a way sa real world dahil parang kino-confess niya sa artistic side niya dahil hindi niya masabi in the real plane. Pero it blurs the line or the demarcation line between reality and fiction, right? So in a way, yun yung way niya of coping up. So in that way, it's something very profound. And also yung play na conceptualize in different language, like I think it's a symbolism of barriers of our communication or knowing of someone. So aside from translation of this and the language, so it's very hard to decipher what's in the heart of someone. And personally kasi na-experience ko yun when I lost my father. We found some things na hindi namin nakalain na nagpe-pertain sa kanya yon nung buhay siya. So in a way gano'n na parang hindi mo makikilala yung tao fully while buhay siya, and hindi mo malalaman yung reason why he keeps on things na sa tingin mo is not a big deal pero kinip niya anyway. So yung mga ganong type of things na hindi mo mara-rationalize and forever ka na lang mag-wonder because he's gone forever, and and wala nang way wala kang makikitang letter or closure or whatever. It just happens. It's just God. So in that sense, sobrang nakarelate ako dun sa film. And yung huli, yung sa play, it's so touching. Kaya nga nila-research ko yung whole lines. Yung about dun sa kay Uncle Vanya and yung about dun sa grief. So I really love that. This is a film na it keeps on growing on you. Even now, if you think of it, you'll like and like it even more than you have initially watched it. So I think that's why kapag may chance si Jim, panoorin niya ulit dahil talagang yung sa car, very important. Yung
Sorry.
yun.
Parang ano, Jim,
Yun.
parang nanood ka ng Star Wars tapos hindi mo na alam na sumabog yung Death Star.
Oh my gosh. Ang haba kasi yung
Ganong
usapan nila.
proportions.
Sabi ko, shucks, hindi ko na napansin. Parang unti-unti, parang na-hypnotize ako na parang, okay, naidlip na ako. Nagising na ako. Parang tapos na sila mag-usap. Kasi, ano nangyari? Kaya napatanong din ako sa'yo dyan. Ano na nangyayari?
Ayun. Pero yun lang.
Abangan mo sa Netflix. Lalabas
abangan sa
yata
Netflix. Uy, Netflix. Yan, exciting.
Drive My Car ba to? O di ba ngayon lang nagpakita?
Oh? A Princess
Ay, my car
Kinox
ba to?
suddenly appears. Ganyan.
Oh.
Oo. Mix Death Star and Sleeping Together. Ganun. Joke lang. Ay, Drive My Car ba to? Yung lalabas sa Netflix?
Hopefully.
Ayan.
Yes. I think confirmed na. Nagpakita sila ng parang mga ads yata.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
Interesting na ano din, interesting observation, yung babae na, yung asawang namatay, si Rika Kirishima. She also starred in another Murakami adaptation, Norwegian Wood, if you know that. Oo.
Ay, gusto ko yung film na yon.
Ayun.
Nakakapag-tune.
Maganda yun, maganda Norwegian Wood. I love it. Tapos one of the first on-screen appearances niya ni Kiko Mizuhara. So,
Ni Kiko.
yes.
Nakakala ko
Si Marang Kiko.
Kala ko si Jung Dabin. Nung buhay pa si Jung Dabin. Basta
Si Jung
Korean
Dabin.
actress siya.
Oo, sa Attica.
Kala ko dati, ba't nandito si Jung Dabin? Tapos hindi pala si Kiko pala.
Kiko Mizuhara. Ayan.
Ako hindi ako fan ni Murakami kasi nakabasa ako ng works, yung mga books niya. Like, Hardboiled Wonderland. Tapos meron pang isa, I forgot yung title.
Wait, Hardboiled ang una mong binasa, Jim?
Hardboiled yung una ko nabasa.
Kaya pala hard Iba yung babasahin mo.
Di ba bang sabi nga nila, Kafka on the Shore nga daw, yung parang recommended. May nagre-recommend.
Parang yun yung pinaka-popular niya sa, even sa mga hindi niya fans, alam yung Kafka on the Shore.
Ako siguro may recommendations kay Murakami would be Norwegian Wood. Tsaka yung Fudge. Ano nga ba yung libro niya? Teka, hanapin ko. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. Yun
yata yung nabasa ko na di ko rin bet. Sorry.
Di mo bet yun? Yun yung may yun yung may balon.
Ayun nga.
Ayun na nga yan. Maganda yun.
Siguro iba lang talaga hindi ko lang talaga
Preference.
Iba lang.
Preference si Murakami. Pero in fairness with Drive My Car, actually mas gusto ko to than Burning.
Okay. Interesting. Yun. Any final thoughts about Drive My Car before we move on to the second to the last film? Wala? Ayun. If you have the chance, please watch it. I recommend it. It's one of my favorite films of this year. So the next film is from Camila Andini, a frequent contributor, kumbaga, to TIFF. This one is called Uni. And it's about a teenage girl living in Indonesia who has a lot of big dreams for the future. And she has a crush on her teacher. But then there are some people who want to have an arranged marriage with her. She rejects some of them at first, but there's a superstition that says if you reject more than 2 marriage proposals, you might never get married ever. So, before yung una ko lang sasabihin ko dito, nung pinanood ko to, para siyang, ang natandaan ko is parang yung moral ni Marilu Diaz-Abaya. Pero sige, I'll reserve
Wow, moral talaga.
moral di ba? I'll reserve my thoughts for later. Pero
Okay.
sige. Roland, your thoughts on the film?
So yeah, itong film na to, nagulat ako dahil very simple siya, very quiet, pero nag-throw siya ng maraming punch. So parang sunod-sunod in a way. And it's very refreshing na makita sa isang actual female filmmaker na pine-present niya what's wrong with my country in terms of how they treat women. So unang-una yung arranged marriage, 'di ba? Like parang ginawa siyang ping-pong kung sa kanino lalaki siya in-offer. And nire-reject niya. Pero the more na i-reject niya, nagkakaroon ng notion yung society na something negative about her. And yun yung first thing na wrong. And another thing is that all these women are being exposed to sex, or they are being de-virginized even before they understand the changes happening to their body. Because meron silang conversation about about sa adolescence, yung sa menstruation and all. And it's very sad na before nila ma-discover yung gradual process na yun is na-virginize na agad sila, or napapakasal na sila agad sa mga older men or sa mga guys na hindi naman nila gusto. And yung kwento mo na may gusto siya doon sa teacher niya, I think ang isa yun sa pinakamagandang point na na-highlight din ng film, dahil nung na-discover niya yung sikreto ng teacher niya, and imbes na yung reaction ng teacher niya is to help her or to help each other, is ito yung mga times na yung makikita natin yung one marginalized type of people in the society is attacking another marginalized person. So parang dito sa Canada, in a way, dapat yung mga minority, di ba, yung mga marginalized, magtulungan sila. Pero in the end, ang nangyayari is ina-attack pa nila each other imbes na yung tulungan yung isa't isa para ma-save yung sarili nila or to their own advantage. I think yung part na to na film is very meaningful, na ipakita yung fear ng mga tao doon sa ganung klaseng society, na ibig sabihin na I will sacrifice another person para mag-gain, para maitago ko yung sa akin or mag-gain ako. Pero in reality, we are just the same. We are having different battle, and we are both member of the marginalized part of the society. So yung parang gano'n, di ba, ang sad? So yeah, like dito nakikita ko yun na other races are being racist to another races. So imbis na magtulungan yung mga minority, they attack each other. So very sad.
Ayun. Jim, ikaw, your thoughts on Uni?
Ako, nagustuhan ko yung Uni. Tapos, while watching it, sabi mo, parang regional cinema dito sa Philippines, and particularly Mindanaoan cinema. Ganon. Tapos actually, I agree with Kuya Roland's thoughts on the film, 'di ba? Kasi napaka-provocative ng film. And I like yung part din na yung revelation na nalaman niya yung secret ng nung teacher niya. Kasi instead na well, spoiler alert, mag-come out siya, ang nangyari, nag-propose din siya dun sa girl, di ba? Na sadly, yun yung way niya to conceal yung niya, identity niya, and at the same time, nape-pressure siya with the expectations of society. And sadly, kasi itong mga ganitong tradition, hindi pa rin siya nabibreak. Kaya ang oppressed dito ay ang babae. Tapos, in addition dun sa sinabi ni Kuya Roland, meron ang another thing na diniscuss din dito sa film, aside from yung nade-virginize na sila in the early age, is yung early sexualization. Nagkakaroon na sila ng curiosity about sex in a young age. Diba? Mayroong pang discussion doon sa film about female masturbating, diba? Which the lead actress or the lead character, na-curious siya, so ginawa niya, ganun. Tapos diba, in order to escape another proposal, nakipag-sex siya with the guy na same age niya na may gusto sa kanya para lang ma-break yung diba, yung proposal. And nakakalungkot na na bahagi ng lipunan na may mga ganito pa ring tradition, may ganito pa ring thinking or kaisipan. Kasi ang laging alanganin or laging naagrabyado is women. Ayun.
Sa akin, this is also one of my favorite movies at TIFF. And yung parang discussion niya on how women are treated in Indonesian society, contrast niyo to with another Indonesian film that aired in TIFF, yung Vengeance is Mine but All Others Pay Cash, di ba? So si Vengeance is Mine is directed by Edwin Agay, pero this one is directed by a woman. So makikita mo talaga yung contrast in how they treat women, how women have agency over their own fates or the lack thereof, and kung paano nila they're basically doing the same thing. They're criticizing this hyper masculine or this yung parang sobrang machismo na society. And tama si Jim na this could also happen in the Philippines. In Mindanao especially kasi they're very culturally similar, pero in terms of yung mga some parang aspects of conservatism, I can see this also in other places in the Philippines. Gusto ko the frankness of how the girls dealt with their sexual issues reminded me nga of Moral. And also yun parang sobrang absurd nung mga pinapagawa sa kanila na tipong sa school nila, there's someone pushing school mandated virginity tests. Tapos all of the suitors, sobrang creepy nung dating nila sa akin. Parang lalo na yung the old guy. Tapos nung sinabi nung babae sa kanya na hindi na siya virgin, kaya I'm not the person for you, parang yung guy pa yung nakasabi na parang this is a bad thing, magdasal ka muna. Parang magalit ka for the female characters. And ang gusto ko pa dito is may halo silang, the film is very poetic visually and also in words. The film is made as a tribute to the poet Sapardi Joko Damono, who died I think last year. And one of the poems that figures prominently in the center of this film, yung Rain of June or something like that, is one of his poems. Which yun nga para it brings a whole lot of, para mas may additional layer pa of kagandahan na ipapatong sa kanya. And yun, the ending is kinda ambiguous. Hope you can interpret it one way or the other. Of course, ako personally, ayoko na ng mga nihilistic endings, so I go with the optimistic ending. And in this case, pero I agree with yung sentiment na this film shows how these teenagers are given life choices in an age na hindi pa sila prepared. They're meant to face these things that they don't understand. Kasi the schools don't teach these things to them. Kaya hindi nila alam what to do. They find comfort in each other kasi that's the only place that they can find comfort. Diba, there's this part na Uni connects with this parang divorced na hairdresser na she's the one who teaches her about sexuality and stuff. She can't ask her parents kasi nagtatrabaho abroad, and she can't ask her grandmother because her grandmother is is although very loving yung grandmother niya, she's very conservative, she's very traditional in that case. So yun, Parang talagang arranged marriages talaga, they give me the creeps. And yeah, if a lot of people, some people there have access to this film, it would be very interesting to compare this with other contemporary Indonesian films na that discuss these feminist topics, and criticize yun nga the overly patriarchal system ngayon na nagpe-prevail sa Indonesia and in a lot of Southeast Asian countries as well. Yun. And I guess additional trivia lang, if you want to watch the lead actress of the film, si Arawinda Kirana, yan. Para siyang ano ba natin siya? Andrea Brillantes, ganun. Barbie Fortesa. May kita niyo siya sa Quarantine Tales sa Netflix. Nandun siya somewhere. So, watch out for it. Ayun, yun lang. Any final thoughts on the film before we move on to our final destination? Wala? Okay. So our last film for today, ayan, Princess, maghanda ka na kasi pelikula mo to. Our last film for today is the first feature film directed by Carlo Manatad. It's entitled Whether the Weather is Fine. Okay. It's set against the backdrop of Typhoon Yolanda, and it features a mom and her son who struggles for survival, no? And deal with the absurdity of fate. Yun. So the mother, played by Chara Santos, is walking through the desolate landscapes of Tacloban, or wherever this is. Mukhang Tacloban siya. And she's looking for her husband. Meanwhile, the son, played by Daniel Padilla, is trying to get out of the island then and trying to survive. And yun. Siguro Princess, ikaw, since ito yung pelikula mo talaga. Handa ka na ba, Princess?
Okay, okay lang.
Sige, what are your thoughts on Whether the Weather is Fine?
So yun, actually, hindi ko in-expect na magugustuhan ko siya. Sorry naman, medyo may konting discrimination kay Daniel Padilla. Charot. Kasi yun nga, parang I didn't actually have like big expectations about his performances. So medyo na-surprise ako. Tapos natuwa rin ako kasi somehow yung film, although medyo maganda yung mga ibang movies na nag-tackle about Typhoon Yolanda. Like yung sino ba to? Yung short film last year na black and white.
Yung to calm
Pagpapakalma ng unos.
Unos.
Yun. Yung pagpapakalma. So maganda yung interpretation niya nung disaster na yun. So ito, ibang atake naman siya. Alam mo yung kahit medyo satirical siya, hindi ka natatawa kasi alam mo na medyo they're just trying to put a different interpretation on Filipino culture na pag may sakuna, we try to distract ourselves with entertainment, ganyan. Medyo ako bilang Bisaya, medyo na off lang ako sa accent nila, na parang hindi ko ma-figure out nung una kung Ilonggo ba to or Bisaya. Kasi may mga Bisaya na dialect na parts. Pero kasi nga, kinorek nyo nga ako na Waray pala siya. Pero kahit kung Waray man siya, sabi ko bakit ang lamya, parang mas applicable siya as Ilonggo. Kasi very malambing yung pagkaka-deliver nila ng dialect. So yun lang siguro. Parang minsan naisip ko, paano kaya kung ginawa dito, parang more of native speaker ulit yung actors, ganyan, rather than, Madam Charo, ganyan. Although syempre si Madam Charo yun. So, sige, pagbigyan. Tapos yun. So, ayun. Nagustuhan ko yung performance nung girl, si dating MNL48.
Oo.
Francine.
Franz Refol.
Si Franz Refol.
Oo.
Franz.
Franz Refol.
Nagano ba sila? Kaya ba siya kinas dyan dahil sa work ni Carlo Manatad sa MNL48 documentary?
Maybe. Kasi dati siyang, hindi na siya MNL48 ngayon. Parang Star Magic na ata siyang alam ko.
Okay.
Tapos yun, siguro dahil nga, dahil sa yung dating work ni Carlo Manatad, kaya siguro siya yung kinuha. Na okay naman kasi hindi ko rin halata. Yun, sa kanya actually mas medyo nag-drawn on ako na, siguro ano 'to, native speaker. Ta's nung sinearch ko, hindi pala siya ano pala siya, taga MNL48 pala siya. So yun. Yun, and then, um, very may iniisip ko lang kung saan kaya 'to shoot, like is this pre-pandemic or post-pandemic?
Ang galing nga na na-recreate nila.
During pandemic. Oo, kasi parang siguro kung doon mismo or kung CGI man siya, ang ganda ng pagkakagawa kasi talagang very raw na I would also agree with Jim, parang na-mention niya na para siyang colorful taklob, ganyan.
Colorful
It actually
taklob.
did.
Sabay gano'n.
Kulay
Oo,
putik
diba?
ba yung
Parang
taklob? Kaya sinabi mo yan.
Oo,
Kulay putik.
sepia, gano'n.
Epya.
Sepia.
Kulay kilikili, gano'n.
Grabe kayo. Uy.
Grabe naman po. Sumaputi. Ganon.
Hindi. Yun. So, yun, very colorful siya. Kahit pa, alam mo na, hiniram lang natin access ni Rolando. Pero alam mo yun, very colorful siya in a way na masasad ka kasi yung reality doon is that puro lang tayo distractions. Pero yung actual reality na kagaya ngayon na we're still, nasasako na pa rin tayo. Hindi siya totally resolved na parang mahilig tayo magdili-dali na, sige, ito na lang muna, ito yung temporary na, parang ganun yung message sa akin ng film na parang everything is temporary. So, kailangan medyo i-delay natin ng konti kasi medyo nakaka-dragging kapag masyadong malungkot, ganyan. At the same time, yung emotions din ni Madam Charo as yung nanay na parang she's trying to hold everything together kaso hindi niya magawa kasi nga nasasako na sila. Tapos alam mo yung very unfortunate naman talaga kasi nangyari na parang akala mo normal lang siya na ulan, yun pala. Ayun. So, yun yung ano ko sa kanya na maganda yung relationship ni cinematographer and ni colorist. Lalo na't medyo may pagka-magical realism yung ibang parts niya. And sobrang natuwa ako kay Daniel Padilla dito kasi mas naan pa nga niya mas na-overpower niya pa si Madam Charo in a way na very subtle siya na parang may pagka James Dean na alam mo yung dinadaan niya lang sa tingin. Tapos
Gawin mong soundbite yan, Ses. Para i-clip mo.
Oo nga eh. Gusto ko yung pa
dinadaan niya lang
James Dean.
James Dean,
dinadaan niya tayo sa tingin. Pero yun, the turmoil is in his face. Gano'n.
Turmoil. What a word.
What a word.
Charot. Sige, yun lang.
Okay.
Yun na nagpakita kung ano pa pinagsasabi dito.
Yung mga Daniel fans na finast forward dito sa ano na to.
Oo. The
Excited
turmoil
na sila.
in his face. Gano'n.
The turmoil in his face. Pero in fairness nga kay Daniel Padilla, yeah, this is a really great performance from him. Oo. Roland, ikaw, your thoughts on whether the weather is fine?
Okay, unang-una, I think na-appreciate ko yung courage ni Madam Charo na tumae sa film, di ba? Dahil kahit si Chloe Zhao, hindi pinagawa kay Frances McDormand yun. Hindi natin nakita on screen. so ito talaga yung image ng poverty. So,
ang ganda nung yung build up.
Ang tagal Ang tagal bago magpunas.
Ang ganda ng mga commentary niyo sa una. Pagdating dito, lungkot sa tae.
Kasi gusto na pelikula pero nagtatawanan tayo sa review, di ba?
Na-shock talaga ako. Pero actually, dalawa yung perspective ko dito sa film na to eh. Gusto ko yung tone niya eh. Gusto ko yung tone niya hanggang ngayon kapag naisip ko yung tone niya, may something dun sa tone na it's bittersweet or maybe shallow yung bittersweet. It's more of parang it's magical pero it's very sad on the edges. So if you look at that perspective, I think this film resonates really well. Pero ang ano ko lang is yung hindi ganun ka-clear yung narrative direction niya because if you want to tell what happens in the movie, the konti lang yung nangyari, di ba? The lead guy wants to bring his parents to Manila. So yun lang, parang nag-navigate lang sila around the rampage and then And then gusto niyang dalhin yung mother niya sa Manila. Basically, yun lang yung plot, and everything was more of a montage of or a satire sequence of what happens to the tragedy. And I think I have an idea because abroad wise, they really like the film. And I was thinking why. I mean, I've read some reviews locally and they are more of mixed. And I think the reason is that it's because of the approach. It's magical realism. And maybe the foreigners they know a little about Typhoon Yolanda on what happened there. So mas nagwo-work yung magical realism if you don't know how sad or the real kung gaano ka devastated yung lugar na yon after the tragedy, because tayong mga Pinoy alam natin kung gaano ka grim yung nangyari nung time na yun, di ba? So applying magical realism to the film might work for some but might not work for others, because wini-weigh in natin na tama bang i-put into perspective into some humor yung nangyaring tragedy na yon. Because to us, we know the intensity of it. Unlike yung mga foreigners, they just know from history or from reading. And they see, oh, it's magical realism. But yeah, I really appreciate the approach. And I think this will do well in the Oscars because may mga nababasa ko, sabi nila on the job daw ipadala. Pero I think yung genre elements nung on the job might not work well, unlike for this one, because ito may parang may sense of hope, and yun yung gustong-gusto ng mga voters, di ba? Parang about poverty, but despite of that there's hope, and there's a relationship between parents and his children. So I think this will click well on some voters. Although isa pa sa mga nabasa kong commentary is yung parang yung iba is tinitake into something negative yung parang mixed production, like isa daw screenwriter is a foreigner. So I don't know yung kung bakit kung paano na finance yung film or kung paano nabuo yung film, and kung paano na affect yung development ng script if there's someone who's not Filipino. But I don't really care because we're in the age of of producing a film that can be produced by 10 countries, So I don't really care about that. I don't look at that context, but I've read some reviews that they got easily turned off because one of the screenwriters is not by our own blood. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I need to rewatch it in order to appreciate it more. But to that context, yes, I think maganda yung film, and I think this should be shown internationally para makita nila yung more of better picture of how the tragedy unfolds in that place many years ago. Yeah.
Jim, your thoughts on Whether the Weather is Fine?
Ako naman, yung napansin ko dun sa film, yung makeup ni Madam Charo, di ba? Parang kahit na binagyo, taray nung di ba, nung kilay, parang, my gosh, fresh pa din si Madam. Parang paano nangyari yon? How to be you? Kahit na binagyo na yung character, may pa rin, ang ganda pa rin ng makeup, di ba?
Maybe it's Maybelline. Ganon.
But anyway, nasabi ko nga dun sa review ko sa timeline ko na ang Philippine cinema kasi bihira siyang makagawa ng disaster film na nag-stick sa mind ng audience. Kasi for instance, like yung Apoy sa Puso, discussing Pinatubo eruption. Nag-aaway pa, di ba may love triangle, nag-aaway na habang pumuputok ng bulkan. So parang gano'n. And Lahar, hindi ko na rin masyadong matandaan, although I need siguro to rewatch it. Pero another film na nag-discuss ng Yolanda disaster ay Taklog ni Brillante Mendoza, di ba? And napaka-grim or bleak nung film.
Yeah.
When it comes naman to Whether the Weather is Fine, agree ako dun sa sinabi ni Cez, yung parang yung right word for that. Surreal yung yung pelikula.
Yes.
Ganon. Yun. Kaya nga nasabi ko parang it feels like Taklog meets Ang Huling Birhen sa Lupa. Kasi yung character, di ba, ni Rance Refol, at may healing power, parang Ang Huling Birhen sa Lupa ata ito ni Joel Amangan. May ganon. Pero I agree with you guys kasi ako aminado, nagustuhan ko yung performance ni Daniel Padilla dito kasi alam naman natin yung mga Okay, I'm sorry, mga Daniel fans. Yung mga character ni Daniel Padilla in romance drama and romantic comedy. I felt limited siya with doon sa mga ganong range. Dito nakita natin na subtle siya, ganyan. Restrain yung performance niya, ganyan. And sa mga close-up, ganda ng mga close-up niya dito, ni Daniel Padilla. Ayun. Tapos, yun pa yung mga na-notice ko dyan, naalala mo yung parang, ba't may nagzuzumba alam na nga natin, di ba yung nung Taclob, talaga, yung Tacloban, Yolanda disaster. Talagang even us, di ba, while watching news sa TV, even us, parang we are affected na parang nadadama natin yung yung suffering kasi biglang bakit may Zumba na totoo ba? May ganito ba? Naalala ko nga pala surreal and may magic realism nga pala itong film. Tapos diba doon sa ending ng film, mayroong eksena doon na sumasayaw si Charo Santos doon sa may hill ata yun, something.
Oo, sa Himig ng Pag-ibig.
Oo, yun. It reminded me nung short film ni Carlo Manatad na Joe Delerx de la Cruz. Kasi di ba yung character ni Angeli Bayani, ganun din yung may pasayaw-sayaw, ek-ek, ganyan. Tapos chaotic, di ba yung yung nangyari doon sa Joe Delerx de la Cruz. Actually, ako gusto ko mapanood yung short film ni Carlo Manatad na Eminent Eminent. Kasi di ba sabi, yun daw yung parang
Prototype.
brainchild or parang prototype nung nung Whether the Weather is Fine. Kasi with the Whether the Weather is Fine na full length na, iba na yung yung I believe iba na yung siguro iba na yung pagkakagawa because iba rin naman pag short film, 'di ba? Tapos ano pa bang ko dito with the film? Okay. With Taklub kasi 'di ba, mas nakita natin yung paano sila nag-deal with a loss, with grief, ganyan, and yung paano sila makakabangon during the aftermath 'di ba ng ng Yolanda. Dito naman in the film, ang nakita natin was that may part kasi sa film na napaka-unreal, 'di ba? Pero in a way, maybe it is a form of coping or dealing din ng loss or grief ng mga tao na parang may mga times na they are imagining things, ganyan. So, yun. So far, yun lang.
Yun. I guess ako naman, no? Interesting na na-point out mo, Jim, yung Zumba scene. Kasi yun talaga yung nag-stick sa utak ko dito sa pagpapanood ko ng pelikulang to. And yun nga, I think yung prototypical film niya for this was yung Imminent Immanent or the other way around, whatever, na short film niya. And in-expand niya yung idea na yun to this. And yung backdrop niya, yung pagka-shoot niya of scenes of these scenes with devastation na naglalakad yung dalawa in the middle of it, reminded me of films like yung Himizu ni Shion Sono, which was set in the backdrop of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Pero here, mas surrealist talaga yung take ni Manatad. Although talagang, to be fair, si Manatad, very, yung mga films niya, they lean towards absurdity talaga na tipong, and it makes sense here, as exemplified dun sa Zumba scene na parang, this is unspeakable tragedy, pero bakit nagzuzumba tong mga to? Pero nung inisip ko when I was talking about this film with yung kasama ko, she told me na, alam mo, it doesn't feel that far-fetched. Kasi nakakakita ka pa rin ng mga Zumba na ganyan in the middle of mga ganitong disasters. May nagzuzumba pa rin So it's weirdly plausible in a sort of way, which means na sometimes in the face of parang unspeakable tragedy, yung things parang may point na hindi mo na ma-process yung nangyayari sa'yo to the point na nagmumukha siyang sobrang unreal, which is the term you used, Jim, no? Sobrang unreal na siya sa'yo, even if it's really what's happening. And there's also a call to to absurdity here with, for example, there's this one scene na there's a policeman who's giving instructions to the evacuees, Tapos sobrang wala, gibberish yung sinasabi niya and nagre-reflect yun sa subtitles as in random keys lang. Ganun lang sabi niya. Which also speaks to the parang sobrang kawirdohan ng response to the pandemic because you're expecting the government to help you in dito sa Yolanda pero they did not receive help or they did not receive the parang the response that they were expecting. Yung parang walang sense yung ginagawa nila. And I guess it resonates here too kasi ano bang the response to the pandemic na nararamdaman natin ngayon, it might as well be gibberish din sa atin kasi it's so hard to make sense of it. Parang because there are some provisions here that really don't make any common sense. And it says something about parang from then, even sa time ng Yolanda, even until now, we still have difficulty or we still have a hard time trying to understand yung nonsense na binibigay sa atin ng gobyerno sometimes yun. So it really I think yun yung binibigay niyang tone to it. On the other hand, yung pinaka na criticism na nakita ko dito was that there's some sort of veneer of artificiality in the whole thing. Na I think napansin ni Jim when he's noted na bakit si Tita Charo naka-makeup pa rin kahit na kahit na yun nga sobrang bumagyo na. Why was kumbaga, in comparison to Brillante Mendoza's realistic on the whole situation sa Taclob, this is an unrealistic, kumbaga, or surrealistic on the whole situation. And it's a very fine line to balance it out. Kunyari, nagtaka ako doon sa Roro, bakit may disco ball sa Roro? Bakit may fireworks, di ba? Pero, yeah, it's all in the service of getting that weird tone na that I understand. Pero I understand din that it's not gonna be a thing that's gonna work for everybody because especially with Filipino audiences, there's some sort of immediacy to the whole thing. Kahit na this thing happened 4 years ago, parang ganyan pa rin Parang nararamdaman pa rin natin yung scope ng tragedy na yun. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, maybe they don't have the same proximity to the material, no, or to the subject matter, which is why they can watch it at a more interesting distance, and they can siguro appreciate it as some sort of as more of an artistic thing than it is as a take on a very serious parang historical event sa atin, no. Yun. So yeah, all in all, I liked it. It's very well acted. Kudos kay Daniel Padilla. I hope Filipinos get to see this. I would like to see what their reactions will be to this film. Yun. That's it, I guess. Any final thoughts?
Ipapalabas kaya siya sa MMFF? Or wala pang announcement kung...
wala pang official na word, no? Pero siguro kung pupusta ako na ipapalabas yan sa MMFF. Kasi
parang bagay siya eh.
'Di ba? Oo. I think ayan, Daniel Padilla, marami nang manonood, kay Tita Charo, the subject matter is very interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people would kung ipapalabas siya sa MMFF, I think maraming manonood.
Akala ko baka ipalabas to sa
Q Cinema.
Naisip ko Q Cinema. Oo.
That's also a possibility din eh. Pero let's see, we don't know. Who knows in the future.
Siguro mas MMFF kasi malaki ang hatak ni Daniel Padilla.
Oo, star power lang yun. Ayan, to be fair, yan nga, gaya ng sabi ko, this is the best Daniel Padilla film for me. Second siguro yung She's Dating the Gangster.
Kala ko daw sa Bas. Charot!
Ano, Jim?
Secretly pala, DJ fan pala si John.
Alam mo, fan naman ako ng mga love teamin na yan. Basta okay yung pelikulang nilalabasan nila. Tingnan mo, si Jadine, meron silang Never Not Love You. Si Liz Quen, merong Along Together. So ito,
Catherine, Hello Love Goodbye.
Hello Love Goodbye. Tsaka si Daniel naman, ito. O, di ba?
Yes.
Si Weather the Weather pala sa kanya. No?
Interesting na naramdaman ko din si yung influence dito ni Wami Alcazaren kasi I think siya yung production designer for this film.
Oo nga, ang ganda ng niya, production design niya.
Yeah.
In fairness.
Na yun din mga pelikula noon, my gosh, very very abstract, very hindi siya straightforward pero very interesting nevertheless. So, yun. Ayun, may final thoughts pa kayo on whether the weather is fine? Sana nga mapatama si Roland. Sana mapalabas in like MMFF or some sort of film fest. Ayun.
Oo.
Do you have any final thoughts on TIFF itself? Yun. In terms of all the films you've watched. Anyone volunteer?
Mas, ito, question ko na lang sa inyo. Mas okay ba tong entries this year? O mas okay yung last year?
Ako, si Roland, ikaw muna.
Personally, I think mas okay yung ngayon kasi last year, if you remember, 50 lang yung pagpipilian. Ngayon, in-expand nila sa 100. So if you'll notice as well, mas madami ngayong Cannes Film Festival entries. And yung mga Cannes Film Festival entries last year, hindi rin ganun magaganda, di ba? Dahil formally, walang nangyaring Cannes Film Festival. And ngayon, bumalik uli yung mga film fest na inaabangan natin na mapapass down sa TIFF. So, maraming entry yung nag-play. And yeah, na-notice ko mas marami yung binigyan ko ratings na mas mataas this year. So, I think this is a better festival for sure.
Based
So,
sa mga...
outlier lang yung Badland last year.
Oo nga. Based doon sa mga napanood ko sa TIFF last year, nga, agree ako na mas gusto ko ngayon. Although, hopefully, in the future, meron pa rin silang ganitong screenings for people like us na nandito sa mga third world countries. Nga, third world cinema club, di ba? Na may access pa rin tayo somehow.
Sana nga.
Oo. Yun lang. Kasi it's international travel, it's gonna take a long time before it's gonna be restored. Minimum yan siguro 5 years or more depending sa kung how fast our countries recover from the pandemic, if at all. Diba? And hopefully one day, makapunta kami dyan sa Canada, mabisita ka namin dyan. Para...
Correct.
Yes!
Yaman natin, no?
Oo nga eh.
Pumunta kayo ng in-person screenings. Enjoy sa TIFF kapag bumalik na siya ng ordinary screening. Stressful siya kasi transfer ka ng cinema pero mas mafe-feel mo talaga yung festival. May mga guests. Alam mo yan. Nandun yung mga filmmaker. Nakita ko na si Hamaguchi. Nakita ko na siya eh. Yun. Very soft-spoken guy siya. And nakakatuwa lang. Si Lee Chang-dong, nagpa-sign pa ako ng autograph sa kanya. Nung inabangan ko, umalis yung mga tao kasi nakaupo pa rin siya. Ganun. So, maganda kasi makakausap mo talaga sila ng in-person. Hindi ka, kumbaga, pati yung mga nakabantay, hindi sila yung parang gagwardyahan sila. Di ba sa Pilipinas, parang ang higpit ng bago ka makalapit. Dito, hindi. Si Steven, yung Carlos, nalapitan namin siya.
Oh my God. Yung itsura na siguro natin doon, no? Parang kayo pa-picture. Ako naman, gusto niyong gumest?
Actually.
Wow naman!
Hey, Steven.
Denis Villeneuve in Third World Cinema Club.
Yeah.
Ganun.
Hey, Denny.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, Denny.
Denis
Parang
Villeneuve.
Parang Denis. Pwede ka bang...
Denis!
Bigyan nyo ng dried mango. Yun yun. This is from the Philippines, dried mango. Very, very delicious.
may pack. Meron akong eco bag. Naka-eco bag, no?
Naka-eco bag.
You wanna get on Third World Cinema Club. Tapos may nilalabas na
Eco bag. Eco bag na dried fruits.
Dried bag.
Kasi,
Chicharon.
Rolando,
Chicharon.
sa Pilipinas, Ganyan yung pinapagawa sa akin yung dalawang yan. Uy, tanong mo naman siya kung pwede mag-guess, gano'n.
Mm.
O
Wala
sige,
pa.
wait lang.
Talaga.
Sino na ba international guest natin, sis? Yung mga ano lang, sa Binisaya lang. No?
Sa Binisaya.
Yung
oo.
Show Me What You Got. Show Me What You
Si Show Me What You Got, oo.
Di natuloy yung ano
Saka-
natin, no? Christopher Doyle natin, no? Oh, sayang.
Kaya nga eh.
Sayang si
Uy,
Krista.
ayoko.
Oo.
Natatakot ako sa kanya. Parang feeling ko late siya. Ganun.
Parang barumbado. Feel ko.
Naka-record tayo ngayon, no? Naka-record tayo. So, sasabi natin parang
Wala na. Goodbye.
Today, on Christopher Doyle. Tapos alam mo yung, ako tahimik lang. Biglang, may I ask, are you drunk last night? Gano'n. Are you drunk? Is that why you're late? Gano'n.
Wag.
The joke lang.
The views and opinions of Charot. Pero hopefully more international cinema, no?
Yes.
And if you want to guest here on a little podcast in the Philippines, give us a call.
O, di ba pinangarap
So, yung
natin one time si
Q-Cinema,
Apit
yung
Siapong?
cinema ba mangyayari?
Oo.
Yeah.
Oo, mangyayari siya,
meron.
Kuya Roland.
Gaganap naman siya.
Oh, okay. Kasi
Maaga nilang
parang walang
inano ngayon
update.
eh.
November 29? 29 ba?
26.
26.
November. Okay.
Oo. Hindi ko pa na-post. Pero maaga kasi silang ngayon eh. Naghanap ng films. Parang mga January or February.
oo.
November 26 to December 5, sabi dito sa email. Ayun.
Yes.
May preview episode kami para diyan na ilalabas namin soon with very distinguished film critics. Wow, hindi
Wow.
hindi yung mga kagaya namin na wala lang, pa-vlog lang. Charot lang. Wow. So, yun lang guys, no? Oy, thank you Roland for joining us.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you.
Always.
Sa ulitin.
Sige.
Ayan, so until next episode, we will see you guys and bye-bye.
Bye.